Hello, sports fans. We're going to talk about something awesome that's not so awesome. It's a bad thing. But at the same time, us talking about it's a good thing. Yay! It is bullying. But where does bullying come from? Why do we bully people? Why do we have that desire? It's called Schadenfreude. And no, I don't mean like shooting Freud, okay? I mean, there's a few people that wanted to, don't get me wrong. I'm sure Jung did at some point. But Schadenfreude is taking pleasure in the misfortune of others, okay? It used to be referenced colloquially as enjoying seeing a hero fall. So follow me on this. I'm not going to get too crazy with the technical terms, all right? You have a pleasure center of your brain, and they have these things called, is it EKG or EEG? So check this. They got these things called EEGs. So basically they take this wire, and they see these electrical signals that come through your brain. Because just like your phone has like this little circle of magnetism and electromagnetic circle around it, so does your brain. Your brain sends out tiny electrical signals, and the EEG is able to pick them up. And what they found is that when somebody tripped and fell, when people were watching slapstick humor, like the three, Larry, Moe, Curly, who? Stooges. There we go. Thank you, God. We've got the Three Stooges. I swear this is not to pray. We have the Three Stooges, right? Slapstick humor all the way. Why do we find that enjoyable? Because our pleasure centers literally light up. Well, part of it is when we see somebody else go down, that makes us feel better about ourselves. Just on a micro level. And this goes back to the ego. And I'll explain the pathology of the ego in a later episode, because I'm still in the middle of submitting it to the APA. But the pathology of the ego basically describes how we came to be this way. So we got this thing called Schadenfreude, which is literally built into us. It's in our genetic code. It's inside. And then just like that movie Alien, where it just poof, it comes out of the stomach, it's coming out of us. Only it comes out in our personality, in what we laugh at, in what we do to each other. We desire to see other people fall. We take pleasure in seeing other people fall because it makes us feel better about ourselves. Because I'll give you the definition of the ego. The ego is a social self-defense mechanism that doesn't distinguish between self and self-image. It was created in the advent of society, right? So society formed and betas started gathering extra money to become pseudo-alphas, and alphas lost money and became pseudo-betas. Money and societal status. So kings, I mean, how many honestly, go through history, how many kings were actually alphas? Really? We got this thing called Schadenfreude, where when we see somebody else come down a little bit, it makes us feel like we're a little bit better. That's where the whole aha! Ooh, I think I just woke up a sleeping giant. That's where the whole aha moment went. We had those aha moments of getting back at somebody, okay? They made us feel down, so we got back at them, okay? That's all Schadenfreude. It's an ego response where we take pleasure in effectively dominating others of our species, which is why if you look at other mammalian species like dogs, they try to dominate each other. They fight for dominance. They fight for rising up, because the higher you are, the higher you feel, then the better off you are, the more of an alpha you are. And I know the alpha-beta complex is kind of like people are, well, it doesn't exist. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Well, I'll give you an example, and please try this with somebody that you really, really, really know. Don't try this with a stranger. But walk up to somebody and say, wow, you're such a beta, okay? When you tell them that, they're gonna get mad. I'll give you an example. Look at that shirt you're wearing. You're such a beta. This shirt, I bought it over at Sears, okay? And it was top-notch. I bought this from Macy's, okay? That encounter that you just saw, it happens. Like people criticize each other's shoes and so on. Why? Because number one, this person over here felt a little bit better. This person over here felt a little bit less. And that's why they got defensive. Because our ego says, I don't want to go down. I want to go down. And it reacts, it rebels. We throw a fit. And if you don't believe me, talk to somebody about politics sometime and tell them they're wrong. It's a natural inclination of us as human beings to experience Schadenfreude. So if you want to look it up, and if you want to see the true definition of Schadenfreude, Schadenfreude. So Schadenfreude. But it's also the basis for bullying. What we do when we're bullying is, okay, we want to be here, but we kind of feel down here. And that's why people that bully usually come from, or often, I won't say usually, but quite often they come from broken homes, or they come from a situation of bullying in their own home. Older sibling, parent, neighbors, and they want to feel up here. So what they do is they find somebody over here that's just content, a nerd like I used to be, then they try to bring them down. Because even though they're still over here, they feel a little bit higher because this person is less. Okay, think of it as a level playing field. So we got this string going flat across here, right? This string represents all of society, like thousands of people, just boop. Now, some people are in a lower economic bracket, socioeconomic bracket, right? Or some people, if you lived in the 1950s, well, we kind of had a race problem issue. And if you lived in the 1800s, we had any sort of ethnicity issue. Like, hey, if you're from somewhere else, no, go away. So these folks were seen by society as down here. And again, ego is a social self-defense mechanism that doesn't distinguish between self, like, hey, I don't want to die, don't hurt me, don't shoot me, and self-image. I want to look better, I want to feel better, I want to be higher in society so that beautiful person over there will take me seriously, so that handsome person will take me seriously, and we can make beautiful babies, and they can have beautiful babies too. I want to feel higher, I want to feel higher. And that's exactly what our ego is going through in the back of our minds and our subconscious. It's literally built into us. Every single one of you watching, it's built into you. And if you go look into literally any religion in all of history, what they do is they try to tell us to get over it. They try to tell us to conquer ourselves, to seek enlightenment. I mean, pick a religion. They all tell you to tone that ego down, recognize it and tone it down. But where bullies come in is they feel down here and they see somebody else that just looks happy. And they want to bring it down because even though their status is still staying the same, they want to feel this way. They want to feel a little bit higher. We all do it, we've all done it at some point in life, and then we get more mature and we grow out of it. Imagine that. But that's where bullying comes from, and the way that we can stop bullying, the way that we can recognize it for what it is to recognize it for what it is. It's Schadenfreude. Kids experience it and they don't have the maturity that we do. And that's why I loved growing up with reading Rainbow and Mr. Rogers. Just really good moral compasses. And that's why we need parents to teach these kids that they are valuable. Now, a lot of cynics out there are saying, oh, well, we can't teach kids they're special because they're really not. They're just going to be another member of the workforce. No, every child is special. They really are. They're special to you. They're special to themselves. They're going to be special to somebody later on, and they're going to have little special babies of their own. And they might genuinely do something extraordinary. Or maybe they just do something slightly better than average. Still makes them special because they are special to you. And we need to start treating them that way. Take the time to teach them the morals that we grew up with, the ones that we ignore, especially in parking lots, especially in a Walmart parking lot, especially in a Walmart parking lot around shopping season and Christmas. We need to teach them the values that we grew up knowing. Now, whether we live up to them or not, we gotta take the time to teach them. Because bullying, that has a massive effect on a person. It genuinely does. Take it from me because I've been there. I really have. So this is a call to arms for you. Spend more time with your kids. If you see an older brother or sister bullying that kid, bullying their brother and sister, step in a little bit. You know, become mentors to one another. Become mentors to your kids. I mean, it's cool to play Fortnite with them. It really is. It legit is. So we need to be better mentors to the kids because there's this lady. She has a YouTube channel called Grandma's Gone Gaming. No apostrophe, one word. Grandma's Gone Gaming. And I remember seeing her play a game with her grandchildren. That's an amazing way for somebody with an exorbitant amount of knowledge and decorum, the ones that taught us, now teaching the grandkids. Because I was raised by my grandmother. There is value in multi-generational teaching. But let's say you don't have a grandmother or grandfather around. There's still the opportunity to teach each other, to teach our children. We gotta teach them acceptance and we've gotta teach them to learn a little bit more maturity. Bullying is not an okay thing. If you look at literally any school shooting, it's because of bullying. And bullying comes from Schadenfreude. So let's recap. Schadenfreude is based on the ego. Schadenfreude is basically slapstick humor, okay? We get enjoyment by seeing the diminishment of another person because it makes us perceptually on a macro level, meaning, okay, we're not higher in society, but them going down makes me feel a little bit better about myself. And it's entirely an ego response. The ego's responsibility is to defend you, okay? It's a societal self-defense mechanism. What is it defending you from? It's defending you from being reduced in society to where you don't have the same selection of mates that you could have had. And that's going back down to the biological, genetic perspective of that. But Schadenfreude comes from ego, and bullying is a result of Schadenfreude. And the way that we can defeat bullying is to change the perspective of these kids interacting with each other. Because we don't all like slapstick humor anymore, do we? We grow up, we learn sarcasm. Intellectual humor. We grow up and we get running jokes. Okay, Key and Peele, they make some great sketch comedy. Okay, Saturday Night Live, that was awesome. In Living Color, oh yes. But very little of that was slapstick. It was more inference humor. You had to understand something going on in society today, or in that time period, to understand the jokes that they were telling. It's intelligent humor. Slapstick humor, we grew out of it. And it's the same thing when it comes to bullying and Schadenfreude. We just have to teach our kids to be a little bit more respectful. That means not just taking the time to play Fortnite with them or whatever game. Minecraft, that's the one I forgot about. Grandma's Gone Gaming, she was playing Minecraft with her kids. But playing games with your kids or grandkids isn't enough. You've got to take the time to teach them those moral lessons. And that's how we stop bullying. We just start treating our kids the way that we were treated, teaching how not to be jerks to each other.